And for those of you who are coming back from holiday, Merry Christmas. And my friend Johnny Heller and I are here for Ask Me Anything. We're excited to be here with you. And Johnny, so hey, did you hear there was a holiday yesterday? At least for some of us.
I read about it. Yes, I did. We had a lovely time. We go to our cousins, well, Joanna's cousins, mine by marriage, out in the Long Island Queens border, and have lovely. They're wonderful people, so I love going there. And we spent the whole day because the dogs are actually in the kennel for the day, which is good. Oh, I should have. People are going to show. I'll apologize in a moment when more people are here for the noise we're about to hear, and I'll explain what's happening in my palatial estate.
Yeah.
How was your Christmas?
Oh, mine was awesome. We had family over and in-laws over, and because we have a large family, but this was the first one because we have a new grandchild.
Oh, congrats.
The problem with that though was she's young enough and they didn't travel. So it was the first time that the whole family didn't get together and we had a Zoom call with the new baby. But my wife will be going out to see him. So anyway, for us, everybody goes through that at points where the family gets big enough and you can't all get together. And this was one of the first where we didn't have the vast majority here with us. We had a great time. They had a great time, and it's the cycle of life, and it's a joy to watch.
It's one of those holidays that I hear people say it more. No one ever says it when you're a kid. When you're an adult, you hear all the adults saying, "This doesn't feel like Christmas to me," and they say it generally up until maybe a week before Christmas. They're just feeling sour about the whole thing.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they start. Then the tree comes together,
Yeah.
and all the presents show up, and they say, "Well, this is a little better." And so all of a sudden they get all this cool stuff. And when you get together with family family that you can't. You can pick your friends. You can't pick your family. But
Right.
assuming you'll like your family, you
Right.
get together with them. It's a good time. I like all the everybody on Joanna's side of the family I like, and my side of the family they're okay.
Yeah.
Here, here, I'll show actually, this shirt is from my big brother. Ham's beer is my dad's favorite beer. My dad didn't drink beer very much, and so he wasn't apparently too particular.
I
And
don't
Jimmy
even know if
also
that
sent
brand
me this.
exists.
Let me show you this other gift. Look.
Oh, that's Heller with a gun. So what so was someone this is not something that we allow these days, is it? That's
No.
historical fiction?
I'm gonna see this in public domain. I wanna record it because it says Heller with a gun. Joanna, I don't have a gun, and Joanna won't let me get one. She's afraid I'd shoot people for jaywalking, um, which is probably true.
I'm not gonna tell you if I have a gun. How do you like
Yeah,
that? I have a big
that's
dog,
fine.
though.
Yeah, I've got dogs who, if you come and attack us with your guns, they will certainly wag their tails
Yes,
in your general direction.
ours would actually show them where all the good stuff is. That's mine. It's like, "Oh, here you go. Thank you."
Here's here's all the chocolates.
Yes, yes. So what's your thoughts here on some of the what are your favorite memories of this last year that you can come up with off the top of your head? Now, by the way, for those listening, we did not rehearse this. I got no idea what this guy's going to say. So, what are some of the things highlights here for 23?
Well, I will say, from a personal and professional point of view, my favorite memory, I think, was the New England narrator cheat, which you've heard us discuss a lot. A lot of work went into planning it, and I was very concerned for some reason that like I said that you think, oh, I'm not in the Christmas spirit. Joanna and I, up until we showed up, thought this is just not going to work. We thought this is going to be a debacle, and it wasn't.
No,
It
it was
went off
fantastic.
without a hitch. It was probably one of the best. Every year I say this is the best one, but this was the best one ever.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and and I,
hey, why is that though? But let's break that down. Any ideas why, from your perspective?
why I thought it'd be a debacle, or
No,
why it went
why
off?
did you think it turned out so good?
A few things. One, the Warren Center where we were, um, actually came through in a big way and gave us everything we needed, gave us the space we wanted. Um, I, they were just wonderful hosts. Just wonderful, and there were so many newer actors there, yearning to learn more,
Yep.
excited to be a part of the community, to join the community, and it was an absolute. It was thrilling to see people come together and become, you know each other's names. You've seen each other's Facebook posts and their pictures. Then you see them in person, and they're warm and articulate and funny and charming and sweet, and you just fall in love with all these people. And it was just a joy. It was just so positive in so many ways. And and the third, and probably the food was fantastic this year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you
Well,
must admit.
I'll admit that, but the thing that blows me away is that you just have a bunch of like-minded people who are all sponges, and when they're there, they're open to learning and they're open to helping. And so you had a great set of coaches, but you also had a great set of people who were interacting with each other and assisting each other. So they'd go to a course, and then afterward they'd be at lunch talking about what they liked, what they didn't like, what helped, and so you ended up with all these interrelationships where people were helping each other. And I know my wife said, so Lisa said this one thing. She said, "Wow, I was at this directed reading and I did my part and they gave me some feedback on it. And based on my script, it was really good. There was one thing that was like, oh, that was worth the whole conference for her." She just had this little epiphany. She'd been doing this a long time and she still found something. But then she said this other thing that I thought was the biggest value. She said, there were things that came up with other people's reads that they had a different script, a different point of view, or a different genre. And I picked up a bunch of things that will apply to my next year, even though I wasn't reading. So I got the one thing I needed from my reading. And then while other people were doing, I learned from their strengths. I learned from if they had something that they needed to work on. It's like, oh, now I see that. I'm going to avoid that. So she was really enamored by not only what she got when she was personally doing something with a coach, but she also was so wowed and happy about all the little details and things that came up. Because so it's like people joining this group and talking to us, and we're talking to people all the time. I'm learning things every single day from all these people I'm interacting with. And that's the thing that at the conference, so many people are so excited and focused on improving their game that you can't help but going home going, oh, I got like 400 things I want to work on now.
Well, that's true, I think, in most, acting workshops
Hmm.
and most study things. I mean, you can get so involved with the piece you're about to do, and I understand that, it makes sense, but you need to pay attention to what's going on around you, because so much learning happens by just watching. Like, when I coach people, I learn things.
Yeah.
When I watch other coaches work, let's say I'm working with, Sean has a happy birthday today, and so does Shannon Parks, and so does Brian Barney. So I want to say happy birthday to all those guys. But when I'm working with Sean, I'm working with Shannon, working with Anna, working with Joanna, and watch them and listen to what they say. I'm thinking, hey, what an interesting way to put it. They
Right.
saw something I didn't or couldn't have seen, and they expressed it this way. And I said, well, I never, there's always something you get
Right.
from other things. And you have to understand that it's not just Don working with Johnny.
Right.
It's watching Don work with Steven and Terrell and Sean and all the other people who listen to. It's just, gosh, you get so much from it. And whether it's New England or anything. So, I mean, Johnny Heller's not the only coaching workshop thing out there.
Right.
Andy Arndt does some wonderful things, and there's great things. So wherever you go, be open to learning when it's not your turn, if you
Yeah.
will.
I didn't really think though that but that's also why you watch other people, why you watch great performance. And uh, this should go without saying, everyone should already be doing this. Anytime Johnny Heller and you have an interaction, he should be able to say to you something like, "What's on your reading list?" or really your listening list. And like, you should probably be three or four books in your library that are waiting to be read because somebody said, "Ah, this book by Heller is really good. You've got to listen." Because I learned, first up, I'm an okay narrator. I don't do much of it. All right. I'm on the tech side, but my wife does tons of it. I'm always around people doing great stuff. I listen to Sean Pratt and I listen to you narrating different things. And it's like, oh, that's how he says this. I never thought of it that way. That's brilliant. But sometimes I have to listen over and over again. And then by the time the book's, it's like, oh, look at how every time he's the narrator, he switches that. And it's like, I'm learning just from listening. So everybody has to
Yeah.
listen. And as a musician, I would listen to a song and I'm not kidding, 1,000 times easily to pick out details. And when you're listening to an audiobook, most of us listen once and then we don't go back. And I think that's a mistake for people in the business. Now, I know I want to get on to the next one, but I think if you want to study how Heller does something, if you think about it, if you would go back and you would listen to a passage, or you find the favorite thing, the thing that you are the most drawn to in the book, and you listen to it about 10 times and listen and start picking it apart, you'll pick up 100 insights. He doesn't even think about it. Heller doesn't think about it, but he's been doing it for years, and you can benefit from just listening over and over and over. Same for you?
That's true with a lot of great with a not with a lot of great narrators and coaches. When you listen to them or watch them teach or learn from them, and then you listen to their work and see if they're putting into play the processes and the notes they've given you. It's
Yes.
oh this because sometimes it's not clear. I can say a host of things, a number of things, but until you see it in action,
Hmm.
it may not sink home, and you never know when it will. And I think what's really important about all this is everything you do, you meaning the universal acting you, has to be a learning experience.
Yeah.
There should be something to take from it. Even bad acting,
Well, right.
it should teach you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joanna was reading something today, and she shared with me. I forgot where it was, but something about how American television is fairly littered with British and New Zealand and Australian actors doing American accents because apparently we don't have enough American actors who can do the
Yeah.
accent. What we don't have is enough well-trained actors.
Right.
In the UK, not everybody, but in a general sense, they take their training far more seriously than do we. And I think that's important. We here in the United States, and we, Johnny the coach and others, get so many people who say, I want to be an audiobook narrator. They want the results. They want to work right away. But they haven't even considered acting. They haven't even begun to to look at it as an acting profession. And they just think, well, I've got a good voice. It's just reading one word after the other. Let me do it. And it's really, really, really irritating. And the reason that AI can have any intro into our world is because of bad acting.
Yeah.
Bad actors acting badly who don't think they need to learn. You don't have to learn from Johnny Heller. You don't have to learn from Sean, but you should,
Yeah.
but you need to learn. And you can't learn from someone who just did 3 books.
Well, it is, and I think anybody who's coached for more than a couple of years learns this one fact. Everybody wants to be a coach too.
Yep.
And coaching is its own art. So here's one of the things about coaching. So let's talk about mentors, because um, if you only take away one skill this year and think about it, selecting your mentor, or who you're going to listen to, I mean, paid, unpaid, whatever, who you're going to pay attention to is a huge factor in terms of determining your success moving forward. So how do we discern a good mentor, a good coach from one that's not? Because the biggest problem I see for the new people is they don't know who to listen to. And they
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, I mean, oh, Barnes sounds great, but he's an idiot. Could happen if we talk pickleball, for example. I've been doing it 6 months. So I'm going to tell you how the greatest pickleball, I've analyzed a lot of it. I've watched a lot of it. But if you don't be dumb and listen to Don for pickleball advice, I'll just give you that word up front. In that, I haven't done enough of it over enough years to know the good, the bad, the ugly, and the side effects of a long-term habit that I start now and refine or continue to grow. And it becomes a part of me. And then I get to unlearn all that later. So much easier to find somebody like Heller and start and get a foundation and then build on that. So what do you see when you're looking for mentors? What do you see for what are the characteristics that a newer person should look for, or someone more mature looking for a better mentor? You
Well,
have any ideas on that?
I think there's more. I think mentors is a better way to look at it.
Okay, that's
I know
right.
a lot of people study with a lot of different coaches, and I think it's great.
Hmm.
Not everyone teaches the same thing or the same way, and it's interesting to get different takes. I think I do believe that a mentor, if that's you want to choose, and whether paid or unpaid,
Hmm.
first off, you need to think about doing something for their help. But if you're just taking nuggets of wisdom from their social media posts. That's, that's fine. But who makes sense? Who says things that make sense? Who who has a career that you're envious of, or talent that you appreciate?
Yeah.
If I'm a coach, you've got to do it this way, and then you listen to me, and I don't even do it that way,
Right.
and my work is not good, then don't coach with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can only tell you what I know and I have to practice what I preach. If I'm not good, if you don't think I'm good, then don't coach with me. That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
And then,
Um, Go ahead.
well, how do we deal with this fact? I might be a great narrator. That doesn't mean I can explain it to everybody. I mean, so I see coaches as a two-phase thing. You do have to be good at the craft, but you also have to be good at breaking down what makes something work and understand some detail about it behind the scenes. Because here's a fact about high performers: the best performers in the world don't think about what they're doing when they're performing. For example, Johnny's going to be narrating something, and guarantee you, he doesn't think about it. He's reading, oh, are my eyes ahead of the words, or any of he doesn't think about the details in the moment. It's all just performance and things that are going on in his head. It's one chunk of performance. It's not all these little, he's not thinking, oh, I got to emphasize this word. Oh, I'm going to make
Yeah.
her happy there. I mean, all this stuff just happens. So the great coaches can both do it, and then the secondary skill that great coaches have is they can break it down to its elements, and they understand both the little picture about it and the big picture. And a lot of great performers cannot break down how they perform, so that differentiates for your coaches. Some people can do the full breakdown. Some people can just do the act, and that deserves great respect, but it's a different skill than breaking it down for somebody who does not understand it. And that's a very difficult thing for some of the best performers in the world. A Michael Jordan basketball player was never a great coach. I'm not saying he couldn't become a great coach, but he had some things so ingrained and so worked out and so chunked in his head,
Yeah.
he didn't remember what it was like to be a beginner. Okay. You have Johnny Heller here who can actually do both, that he understands, and while he's performing, he doesn't have to think about 100 little things. But if he was coaching me, he would say, you need to start with actually learning to talk, Mr. Baarns. That would be helpful. Okay.
I
Anyway,
I
comments.
I think you need. I think if you wanna think about what coaches to work with, find out also many coaches, most coaches give you 15-minute phone consult. See if you get along.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't like if you don't hit it off, that's one thing. And also, a coach should be able to determine fairly quickly what's going on, and should be able to and not just what's wrong, but also what's right.
Okay.
Pointing out bad, 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 bad is not as helpful. It's not great. It's a downer. And you said, "My God, that was a great. Here's what was perfect about that. Here's what I'd like to tweak." That's why I like to talk, because I don't want people now, if you're really awful, there's not much I can do. I'll say, have you considered a career in insurance sales? But outside of that, I think it's important to be able to communicate what you want to say to a given actor in ways that have meaning for that actor.
Right.
If I need to talk to you in tech talk, because that's what you understand, I need to be able to tech talk.
Right.
If I need to, so there's got to be a way. I need to find out very quickly how to get through.
Well, let me give you an example of how not to do it. I'm sitting next to my wife, and she's trained actor, and we're doing a dual voice thing where it's a dumb guy, smart girl, and we've got the script in front of us. She's reading her part, and I read mine, and she performs her part. I read mine, and we stop, and she looks at me. She says, "Can you do that like you mean it?" And now here's the thing. At first, I really bristled. Now, don't do that with your spouse, by the way. I don't recommend that. I did not take that very well, because to be honest with you, I had tried to do it with meaning,
Right.
but it hurt a little bit, and I didn't handle it well. We'll just say that. But here was the funny thing. I went back and listened to it later. Okay, I had it all recorded, and I thought, crap, she's right. I don't, so there was a bunch of, so it's just, here's the weird thing. Those words, though, were not helpful for me at that time to get the performance better. Later, she came back and said, "Okay, can you read it like the way you would do this?" And she actually broke it down later. In the moment, she made a bad coaching choice of telling her husband, "Can you say it like you mean it?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she was serious about it, but it just wasn't the right those words didn't mean anything to me, and Heller would have said, well, he would have had a totally different take and been able to say, well, imagine that you were in this circumstance and this is what you were talking to your kid or you were talking to your whatever. And it would have been a much better set of instructions than just saying, can you say it? Now she does not say that anymore. This was early on in our career. And I just did bookmark it because I was kind of upset. All right.
Yeah.
The good coaches find the term. Johnny's talking about talking with me in tech terms. If you're going to talk to me about being an actor, you need to put it in simple enough terms that even Don can understand. And that can be a low bar, but it would challenge Johnny to get to that low level. But that's what he has to do is find a way to transmit. No matter how much I know it's irrelevant as a coach,
Yeah.
if I can't transmit it to other people in a language they can understand.
And the other side of the coin is the actor who's working with the coach should have some idea of what it is they hope, what they want. If you work with someone who says, "I wanna know everything," that's gonna take a bit of time.
Yes.
Like as many years I've been alive to teach you everything I know. So let's be more specific. For example, let's say, oh, I did a workshop, a free little give back kind of idea at SAG-AFTRA Foundation the week before Christmas. About 12 actors in there, and I talked about audiobooks and directed them in reads and things. A lot of great people, a lot of great questions. Some of the questions are very broad.
Right.
And then some people wrote me notes. A fellow named Omar is a very nice guy, very good actor. He wants to do some self-produced stuff, but the bigger picture there is where do you want it to go? Do you want to just do it? Is it a and this is nothing against him, just in a general sense. Are you looking to make money? Are you looking to do your own books? Are you looking, when you talk about publishing and distributing, those are business questions, not necessarily acting questions. So if that's what you want, maybe a business coach is better for you than a performance coach.
Right.
You need to have some ideas of what you want. Otherwise, your relationship with your coach, whoever or coaches, may not be all it should be because you haven't been clear about what it is you want, and you may not know, and that's
Right.
also fine.
Right.
But you need to understand what you don't know so that when you begin to know, you can ask the questions that make most sense.
Yep. And so I want to change subjects a little bit. I
Yeah.
see three things, though, that people need to be thinking about if they're going to go to a coach: their acting, what they're doing for business, and then they also need to understand relationships. If you can't combine those three you're going to run into trouble because let's say I'm the best actor in the world. As a young drummer, I was actually way above average for my peer group. But there was one guy that was head and shoulders above the rest of us, and he did something that just blew me away, and I only learned from later in life. Not only was he the best drummer in the group and the best musician in the group, he was the best people person I had ever met, and I, as a young guy, blew it off and did not understand that that combination is gold as a performer, where you are both really good at your craft and you're really likable and you can get along with people and you have both, you can be light, you can be heavy. I mean, he was the best people person I've ever known about it. Today he's Ringo Starr's drummer. I still look back at Greg and go, wow, that's crazy. But he understood that there was more to it. That's why when you talk to Johnny, you have to have some idea of what you want to work on because he's got a whole set of things. He could talk to you for 4 years. And it's not helpful necessarily to talk about everything. What are the top three things that you need to work with a mentor? And go ahead, Johnny. I got
Well,
an idea for you.
we didn't ask you, what was your top couple memories of 2023?
For me, it's just the fact that so many people. So I've been doing this 10 years, and I'm kind of coming on an anniversary. Like even my groups, the groups I started are 9 years old now. So I started before that. I think so. I'm like 11 years in. And the big epiphany was no matter how good I get at this, if I don't get the people relationships right, I'm still going to fail. It doesn't matter. And it's why I'm thinking of when I was a young drummer, there was our guy who did so well. He had the golden ticket, which is having more than you have to be excellent at your craft. You have to, and nowadays, But the biggest thing this year is I'm finally getting my social media stuff working, on full
Yes, you are.
blast.
Yes, you are.
Oh, and across
Yeah.
multiple channels, and understanding that if you do all the stuff right and then you don't do the business stuff right, if you do all the stuff right and then I don't treat people right, I'm going to lose. And treat people right does not mean I need to be a doormat and always go along and always say yes, 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 I
Ooh.
love you, love you, love you. But it's having the right combination. And I loved this is one thing I love about Heller. He has even words for it. Don't be a dick weasel, and I just love that phrase. But
I've
where did you get that, by the way?
I make up a lot of wonderful swear words.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. Heller's got enough clout in this business that he actually could swear and probably get away with it if he wanted to. But he has, yeah, okay. But somebody else even wrote that for you. In the behind him, he did not. He may have told someone that personally, and in one-on-one conversations, we'll all say some things that I don't necessarily want repeated, whatever. But
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
funny one, and it's correct. But what happened was one of your students made up that poster behind you, correct?
because I say it to everybody. Yes,
Okay.
it's my saying. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So that's fine, and it's especially appropriate in a one-on-one setting. But this is the discernment. When he goes in public in a group, instead of calling me a rear end more forcefully, he will use some word which implies the same thing, and he'll also make it funny. He understands that he can go ahead and say things, and he just softens some edges, and that's a really smart thing, and we all have to do that. It doesn't mean everyone's going to like us. I'll bet there. Does Heller have any detractors?
I bet he does.
Okay.
I know he does.
We're not
I
going
can
to
name
talk
one.
about
I
those.
can name one right now, but I'm not gonna.
Okay, yeah, I've got mine too. Anyway,
I
the year has been amazing, and what even though there are moments of downside, I still have been blown away at how many people that I've known for some of them close to a decade now, and now they're the people that are at the top of the business. And let's talk about the one sad part of that I have for this year, and that's that I've watched a lot of people get started over the last couple years who have just dropped out totally, and I know why. They didn't get the right guidance, and they pursued and did so much work on some areas that didn't pay back, and then they decided now that COVID is over and we can go back to things, now they're off doing something else. And some of it, I just looked at it and thought, man, you were so close, and you were just a little bit off, and you did so much work that it became not worth it because of who you were listening to.
let me comment on that and also take Brandon's question. Brandon asks, should your performance coach and mentor be the same person?
Oh,
Yeah, they can be, and also not everybody needs a mentor. Not everybody has a mentor, and we're not talking about Uncle Bob who's gonna teach you how to be a cobbler or something. You may or may not have a mentor. You should have a coach, particularly. I mean, particularly if you are new. It just makes sense to me. If it's a money issue, then find a way around it. But you have to invest in your career if you want a career. And going back to what Don said about people who left, who did a lot of work and left, I have a couple thoughts. Most importantly, in my career, I've been doing this a long time, but that's not all I did. I attended bar for years and ran restaurants and did all those, jobs to keep my acting life alive. And there was a time I thought, this is not going to work. I'm not going to make it. Maybe I'm just a bartender. Maybe so I'm going to be. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
right.
If that brings you happiness. For me, my happiness is directly related to my ability to perform and to teach and to do this kind of thing. It's a must. It's like Maslow's 10 things you have to have. My 11th is the ability to perform, entertain. I need to.
Yeah.
I need that. I need it. If you can live without it, then live without it. This is hard. This is so hard. Being an actor professionally, making money at it, whether it's in audiobooks, in any VO, being on stage, doing a show, any part of it, good Lord, it's hard. And the numbers statistically are not in your favor.
Right.
So if there's other things that bring you joy and love, I have utmost respect for people who said, I gave it my best shot and decided it wasn't for me. Now I'm doing this. There's
Yep.
nothing. I want you to understand there's zero wrong with that if you can live with that.
Right.
And that, if you can't live with that, then that's not a choice you can make.
Yeah.
But if you can make it and live with it, then you should make that choice. You don't have to put yourself through some of this hell.
Yeah.
the audiobook world is so open for so many people, for so many things. There's work for you, even if you're not that good. The problem is, don't work if you're not good. It
Yeah.
just you have one chance to make a first impression, one chance, and it's no matter how good you get, the crap you start with is always going to be there. One of the other thing, Zura Johnson, that's who made this. She, what do you call it when you?
Print.
What's it?
No, I'm kidding.
What? No, when you make it, when you just sew.
Calligraphy? I don't know.
Yeah, no, when she sews it on the thing, I forgot what it's called.
Oh,
The art. What's it?
crochet?
Yes, or whatever. Anyway, she made this.
Okay.
The other thing I always say to my students is stop sucking, which I think people don't realize. So she wrote, she sent like one of these. She didn't realize what she'd done. It says, stop sucking. And then in small letters, it attributes me. It says, stop sucking, Heller. which,
Needle. Yeah.
which I don't
Which
want to.
which you did not, that
I
wasn't
did
what
not
you
post.
intended, I bet.
Needlepoint. Yeah,
Yeah.
Barbara said. Yeah, we said needle. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Zura Johnson, who's just delightful and doesn't suck, wrote it. And I said, you can't say stop sucking Heller to me. And she didn't realize that's what it looked like. I have it tucked away in a drawer for safekeeping.
Yeah. Well, here's the fun thing.
Hmm.
Heller, as much as people go to him because he's an expert at doing things as far as related to this business, he has a good time all the time. And I do think most of the people don't take them. So this is and everybody's different. I love people that don't take themselves seriously, but take their work seriously and take their process seriously. And that for me is the golden ticket for somebody that I like to work with. And then everyone, you need to find what works for you, because there isn't one personality out there, and what I like might not fit for you.
Yeah. Here, I'll make sure we get some questions this time.
Okay.
Lisa, the power of punctuation. Right, you are. Let's bring up James Romick because he was he asked questions and we don't always get to them. And by the way, last week, James, you asked a question about Ahab, and I forgot what it was. But we had already answered it prior to your question. That's why I didn't pick you up. Just letting you know. So James says here, given that the book is well written and the story compelling, when you pick up the audiobook by a new narrator, how far do I, Johnny, or you, Don, get before deciding to continue or move on? It's pretty quick for me.
Yeah.
It's pretty directed sessions. Macmillan's all directed. Penguin Ram Mouse is always all directed. 97%, 99% directed. That's the answer. But this question, I would say, my goodness, I give television shows a bit more time, like a sitcom or a series, because that first show just introduces everybody and doesn't have its legs yet. But an audiobook, if it begins and I'm just not, and there are some really big name narrators, and I've listened to, and I've not enjoyed the work, so I stop.
Yeah.
If I think I can appreciate the story better just by reading it myself or listening to someone other than this person read it, that's what I'm going to do, and it's a fairly quick decision.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I have my library on Audible. I have a subscription, and I'm ahead by about 3 to 5 books at all times. So I'm in the middle of one, and there are 3 to 5 that I have not read that are already in my library. And then I'm constantly keeping lists of recommendations. And so I could be deeper than that. So as soon as if I could be in the first chapter, and if I don't like their delivery, usually you can find somebody else doing the same story or the same genre that I'm going to enjoy. So why put ourselves through something that we don't care for?
Yeah.
I don't waste that much
Life is
time.
short.
Yeah.
Life is short. Don't
Yeah.
do things that aren't fun. Just don't.
Yeah.
There's plenty of opportunities to do things you don't like. Like I say, the Audibles. I paused my subscription for 90 days to protest their virtual voice selections.
Oh,
They've got
smart.
a whole bunch. They've dumped thousands and thousands of AI, and I've written at least 4 letters complaining. And what they do is they give me a free listen, a free credit. Like I don't need a free. I don't want more of the crap. I'm saying no
Right.
because I don't like what you're giving me.
Right.
I'm sorry you didn't like your dinner. Would you like another dinner? No, you're not a good cook. Yeah. So
So let's talk about AI then.
well, we can. I want to make sure.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk about AI for a sec.
Well, no, not necessarily. This is what I'm going to say. If they keep shoving this crap down our throats, some other company is going to come up finally, and do some things. When I talked to when I all these publishers that we've had on the show, the thing that's impressed me the most was virtually all of them were committed to building the number of narrators on their roster and the number of books that they can put out in the given year, this next year, that are not AI. So I don't know what they're doing about AI and other areas, but everyone we've had on here has said our biggest problem is we can't find enough good people that we want to work with to put out more, even though we have the demand, we have we have a back stock of things to put out there. We need more people that are great to be doing it. Is that
Yeah.
what you're hearing too?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there is a world. Here's the deal. You guys all know there are so many of us actors, um, of of who are good and not good. But so many of us who and so many want to get into the audiobook business, and there's room literally for every one of you if you're a good and engaging storyteller. Your desire, and if this fits you, then wear it, but your desire to be an audiobook narrator, be an actor, is 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 fine, but you just don't get to be one because you decided that you want that.
Right.
You don't. You may be gifted with a beautiful singing voice, and you can go ahead and sing. And there's a lot of people who, but after a while, you start getting coached to be a
Yeah.
little better at it.
Yeah.
I just think people have natural talent sometimes, and some have none. And if you're gonna do this, then take it seriously because everybody else in the industry is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the casting people may not have acting. Many of them have, as Don and I are discovering, have editing and tech backgrounds,
Yeah.
engineering backgrounds, sound engineering, I mean, and they don't know the acting terminology, but now they're casting, but they
Yeah.
know what they like.
Right.
And they may not be able to say, I like the fact that Don is really engaging and compelling, and I believe he's presenting the author's truth and whatever the words you want to use. They just know they like what he's doing.
Yeah. But that's the audience too. The audience doesn't know I'm a good performer, I'm a bad performer. They know they like it or they don't. I always say about music, as you get into music, you start teaching music, then people listen to details and then they start analyzing things. In the beginning, music has two categories: I like it or I don't. That's the general audience, and it really is the same. But people can discern what they like and what they don't. And these publishers, these casting directors, they have heard enough of Johnny Heller and Sean Pratt and these people that have been doing this for multiple decades and that have the background. And they go, and then I go and read something. They instantly know, he hasn't done as much homework as the Hellers out there. I mean, it's just they don't know why I'm not as compelling. They just know I'm not as compelling because there's a whole lot more to it than just reading.
I want to
So
say,
that
I note that my friend Melissa Benson has joined us. I want to point out that MK is in New Orleans area, and Joanna and I are planning a New Orleans. This coming up. This very excited about this. We haven't worked out details or venue yet, but we're thinking January, February, March, May, so early May, I think, after Mardi Gras. So it won't be as expensive, but it's going to be a workcation. I'm thinking of having Don and Lisa join us because I want coaches who are couples because it's easier. But I'm not going to worry about the money so much, what it costs. I try to keep costs fair and decent and reasonable as I can for the New England thing. This thing, whatever the hotel, whatever it is, it is. But it's going to be a chance to work, learn, and also screw around in New Orleans.
yeah,
And MK's helping me. She's my boots on the ground. She lives there, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully this coming together. No promises yet, but in May, and it'll be so. What you can bring your significant other, your kids if you must. I'm not a kid guy. But we'll be in New Orleans, eating incredible food but learning some things. But there'll be plenty of time for sightseeing and toury things. So I think we're going to put together a great 4 or 5 day mini vacation thing.
cool.
Just
So
like,
now you're kind of getting into what's coming up in 2024.
oh yeah,
What
I've
else do you
jumped. Yeah,
have?
sorry.
What else do you have cooking that you find interesting that you're looking forward to?
The things that are coming up. And I'm not sure if all that. I think we mentioned on a show a number of times. Scott Brick and I have the Brick Heller or Heller Brick Business of Audiobook Workshop, which we've done. I think it'll be our 7th or 8th time. We've done it regularly. Generally, it corresponds when the Audies are. The Audies will be in LA March 4th. So we'll have this shindig March 3rd. It's a Sunday, and Scott who lives in LA is working on the venue now. We're trying to get that up as soon as we can because we have to pick the venue before we can price it for you. But it's going to be that Sunday, and it's all business. If you want to know about the business of audiobooks, this is a full day of it that ends in joining the Audio Publishers Association cocktail party, pre-Audi's cocktail party.
Cool.
I'll be there. I don't know if I'll go to the cocktail party. I don't know if I'll even go to the Audi's. Even if I'm nominated, and I don't know if I will be. I have no idea. But that Sunday, the day before the Audi's, yeah, we're gonna be out there, and then we have hopefully the New Orleans thing with Melissa out there, and then I'm not really sure, except for New England. Going back to that's October 14th. So
So what do you think people should look forward to, and what sort of as far as the business world is our audiobooks going to get smaller, bigger, stay in the middle?
the business itself.
Yeah, yeah,
I believe it continues to grow. I didn't read the latest APA. It's had a recent report, but this industry is growing in geometric proportions. It's
right.
just exploding. I think that's going to continue.
Yeah,
And once again, people say, "Oh my God, what about AI?" What if you suck, yeah, I'd worry about AI.
yeah,
If you're a good, engaging, compelling storyteller,
yeah.
I think you're irreplaceable. And
I
there's plenty of work.
it and I just keep going back to the only experience I have so that's closely parallel is in the music business. There are these things called drum machines, there's synthesizers, there's all sorts of things to replace musicians. And if you're a young musician coming up today, you have to be smarter about it than you did in my day. But there's just it's a crazy world where they live side by side. And you know what? Some of the machines that can create music, you have individual musicians now that by themselves are doing some amazing work, but it's opening up more work for more musicians. So I think AI will run its course. It's going to take over parts. It's going to coexist with us. It's not going away. If you're marginal, if you're not compelling, if you're not doing your homework, it'll take some work away. If you're doing the right things, there's opportunities in this business. And every time we talk to the publishers, I'm so impressed with these casting directors, and they're expressing to us both on the show and outside that they don't have enough of the right people. They are looking for more people, and
Yep.
their bottleneck are the good people, not the they're not going to just hire anybody. They have too much money going into a production. When they call in Heller to come in and there's a director and it's a directed session, the amount of money that's being spent per hour, not only on Heller, but the whole production, is pretty crazy. And what
Yeah.
they want are great people that can walk in and execute and take direction without being, oh, I don't want to do it that way if there's a director there. I mean, there's a lot of room in this business, but people
I,
are
I,
are not doing their homework sometimes. And then, of course, anyone that's here, to be honest with you, I'm speaking to the people that are already doing their homework and
yeah.
listening and
Yeah.
trying to get better. So sorry about that.
Yeah. Don't take this person. You guys are great.
Yeah,
I've been getting a lot of calls lately that I normally to come and direct people. Not from actors, but from the Macmillans and those guys. Do I want to direct? Because they want some newer voices, some different voices, and they're not all trained.
right.
But I don't know if you can just. It's hard to do, and also I've turned it down because there isn't enough money in directing, um, and they don't want to pay my recording rate. So I said, because also I said, just let me do the book. But
Yeah,
there's a Brandon writes, "Am I coming back to Fredericksburg, Richmond area again? Haven't thought about it. Joanna and I have dear friends, Bill and Joya Lord, who live in right near Fredericksburg. We had a great time there, but I think I was there last year, so I might go see Bill and Joya again. And if I do, if there's Brandon, if you know there's people out there who want 10 to 15 people who want to do a session,
yeah.
then yeah, I think I'll take a train down there. I like it down there. It's neat. We can talk about it. Send me a DM or something, and we can talk about it. I have nothing planned. The only official plans are the three things I mentioned. That's the only official stuff.
Yep.
let's get some more questions. This is, I noticed on our Ask Us Anything, no one asks us anything. Yep.
Well, sometimes people don't want to ask. So yeah, it is really. So we should let you know. I actually sit here and you see my eyes go from paying attention to you to I have a screen here and I can see all the things and so I'm kind of monitoring it and picking out stuff here and there. Um, and this is a great thing. So Keith had written, people thought drum machines meant the end of playing drums. The reality is, if I were a young drummer today, I would be more excited about the potential, despite the fact that there are a huge number of composers that are using drum machines. And now it's become drum computers, just it's an AI type thing where I hear whole songs. But you know what? You still need the creative element to make it work. And they're still a person and they only have so much time. So it's opened up the world to where more musicians can do more on their own and more people can be great musicians at the same time. It's not this either or. So the AI thing, I mean, we're all watching it. We're all looking at what it's doing. We're all seeing it's gonna. Hey, I always done literally 1,000. Hey, press 1 to get to the restroom. Press 2 for the library. Becca, she was doing voiceover over the years. She's just done thousands of those phone trees. Well, we look at each other and go, hey, that's going away. AI could do that all day long. We always went, this sounds terrible when it's done. They don't need us. I mean, they need her voicing it and it sounds good, but that's going to all go. Also, who calls anybody anymore on the phone? So that will go away. But that doesn't mean there aren't hundreds of other opportunities for us in other areas using the same skills or in a better way. So, yeah, I see it all the time and I kind of go, history is repeating itself again. So, what are the questions we have here? I'm
Here's
not ready for,
Ron.
wait, I want to ask this. So, look at this. So, I'm not ready for Heller as my coach. 2 questions on that. Why are you not ready for Heller as a coach? One, here's the weird thing. If you get with someone like a Heller and you get the foundation right, all the time you spend refining over time you get a force multiplier. You get a multiplier effect by starting with somebody like a Heller, as opposed to I can do it the other way. I can watch 1,000 YouTube videos and put together what I think it is, and then I go to Heller, and now I have to change a habit that I already have ingrained. So just note, there are many times where it seems like going to a Heller early on might not be good, but I would respectfully say many of us would do a lot better going and getting a foundation and letting him say, okay, now maybe I could only go to him once every 2 months or once every 3 months because, he's not going to be the cheap guy on the fence, but it still is worth going and getting an hour of his time over you coming to me for the same kind of thing. I mean, I can coach, by the way, I have a performance background. I do know some about performing, a lot actually, but you would be dumb to be working with me. You'd be better off saving an extra month, going to Heller and going every 3 months for a tune-up than going to me. It just doesn't make any sense. And you'll get a lot further in 6 months because he'll give you the foundational stuff that you need to work on rather than, just the stuff that I think would be cool now.
There's a question. The same fellow asked a question. Ron, I think, with a vetted list
Oh,
of coaches. Now, I don't have a vetted. First off, it'd be unfair for me to say these are the. If I say here's 6, I promise I'll leave out 6.
yeah.
You should check. You can see on social media, particularly all the Facebook groups, who seems to say the most intelligent things.
In a way that you can take
Who's a
in.
top contributor in one of Don's groups? Who seems to be says things in a way you like? For example, James Romick, who's in the crowd here, he teaches, I think, a Reaper. Don teaches Studio One. But James Romick, I don't know if he coaches actors in performing, but he's a great actor. If he wants to do it, I'd back him. I think he's fantastic. Is he interested? I don't know. But there's people, there are oh my God, there's Shannon Parks and there's Joel Frumkin, who has been our guest and stuff. I don't know what all these people charge. I know Sean Pratt has a 14-month program. It is what it is. I know that Joel Frumkin has, I think, I don't know how long his thing. It's a series of courses, and there's a beginning. There's different levels. So you'd investigate a little bit. I can't give you a vetted list because I'll leave people off, and I don't want to. It's not
Yeah.
fair. There's
Yeah.
a whole but see, there's a bunch of people out there.
Uh,
Um,
So here's a question. So someone said, I can read aloud between coaching sessions. What more can I do, if anything?
I missed that question, sorry?
I continue to read aloud between coaching sessions. What more can I do, if anything? Brenda Roberts.
I continue to read aloud between so you just read well, I'm not sure at the answer because 'cause I'm not sure where you I know that I've coached and I think Joanna's coached with you. Um, you have to do whatever you need to do to continue working. My advice to everyone, if at all possible, is get into one of these 3 or all 3. Acting, scene study, workshops in wherever you live, whatever the closest place is, who's got it even if they're not good, working with a real script with other actors is hugely beneficial. Improv, hugely beneficial. All these things that help you'll understand the human condition. You don't know what you realize yet. Actors they're intuitive about the human condition. That's what you need, and you get that from those workshops. And the third thing is get in a community theater play. Do a show.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. You
Yes.
learn so much, and it's so helpful. And not just you on your role, but one of those people is going to be an amazing, even for community acting standards, community theater stuff, be pretty good. How come?
Yeah.
Answer those questions.
And you
Don't
learn
just
things
sit
from
and
the,
wonder how come Don Barnes is so good in 12 Angry Men? Why is he the best juror? How
yeah.
come? What's he doing?
Yep.
And then ask him.
And then you'll get the other thing that you'll see the directors will give notes to somebody else, and I will realize, ooh, that would apply to me if I were doing that as well, or when I was in that role. And by the way, I haven't done much. My wife will tell you, I've done like almost zero. I've been in the pit orchestra. I've watched directors give notes to actors crazy numbers of times from sitting and playing the music for a musical.
Yeah,
As a young guy, just did a
yeah,
lot of that
yeah.
stuff. So
I,
anyway,
I'll push out, Joanna Perrin, who's been my wife. She's a fantastic narrator, fantastic actor. I think she charges 160 an hour. She's a great coach.
yep,
And Ron also asked if he does coaching with me a couple every few months. Should he coach with other people in the middle who maybe aren't as expensive as me? Sure, absolutely. You should coach with as many people as you can. If you like someone and they've got, let's say you coach with me and I said, we need to do 3 sessions. Well, I don't say that, but let's say that's my plan. Here's a session, whatever it is, and you say, I can't afford it. We'll work it out or we won't. But there's other coaches.
yeah,
If if timing and money and everything don't align for us, I'll try to send you to someone who I think would be good for you. I don't want to do it on this show because again, I'm leaving some really talented, wonderful coaches out because they didn't pop in my head right away.
yeah,
And I don't mean that. But I do believe, I'm a Stanislavski trained guy. That doesn't mean Meisner and Shurtleff and Spolin and other acting styles aren't worth knowing about.
yeah.
Whatever seems to you can relate to that gets you to tell the story in a compelling and engaging way is what you should do. If studying with Shannon Parks you find more effective and better than studying with Johnny Heller, than studying with Joanna Perrin, than studying with Christine Vam, than studying with Chris Shula. I'm trying to mention coaches. My God, yes, you should study with as many people as you possibly can. It'll broaden your horizon. I know you don't have tons of money, so do some research
Yeah.
and decide who you want. And you can, I tell you, almost everybody will talk to you on the phone for 10 and 15 minutes to talk to you and see where you are.
Yep.
It's
And
just, I mean,
I
go ahead.
remember my coach. Uh, my mentor had been a Motown session player, and he and I worked with him for a couple years. And at one point, he said to me, "Okay, remember, you are looking for 3 great mentors, coaches, instructors, and you may have to go through 10 or 15 to find your 3. And over time, you will end up going back to those 3 over and over again. But for most of us, you can't just have one. You're going to have a couple. So, by the way, and what I would say, if you can only do Heller every 2 or 3 months, you'd be better off doing Heller once every 2 or 3 months than saying, oh, I just can't afford him. You'd be better off not having an extra Starbucks. For me, one less eggnog, I'd be going to Heller. But it is worth it because when you get the foundation right, you have something that you are building upon that can grow. And even if you don't see them, then you do the secondary thing. If you can't afford them, first thing you do is you take a session with them. Then you go purchase every book or go to the library if you have to and get on their library program and listen to him do this over and over again. And you can stack, and then you go back and say, okay, listen, I listened to this passage. Now I see what you're talking about. And how did you do this? And he can give you insights into other things as well.
I want to cover. Before we run out of time. I want to say something else about coaches.
Go.
When you get coached, and it's a great experience. Let's say I work with Don, and we work together 5, 6, 7 sessions, and he's just sterling. Then he goes out and he does a wonderful book, and he gets a SOVAS or an Audi or a nomination or any damn award. That's Don. That's not me. And I don't take credit. I've coached thousands, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they did good things, they did good things.
Yeah.
I'm helpful that what I said may have helped them on the way, but that's theirs.
Well,
They own it.
yeah. So here's the other thing. I'll even have people that say, oh, I worked with Don. And I look at them and I don't, this is not the 90%. That turns out great. Every once in a while, though, it's like, yeah, but they didn't do what I told them. Or they didn't do what I mean, I was very explicit about a couple things, and they decided to go do something else. Working with Heller does not mean you're going to turn out great or get jobs, but not working with Hellers is more of a negative. And when you work with them, then the homework afterward, that's the biggest problem in this business. Is it's Heller can give you an assignment in one day that you probably could work on the technique and refine it over the whole rest of your career, because it's an ongoing thing. He's putting the foundation in. If you came back to him in 3 months, he's going to refine it again. And if you come back to him in 3 months, he's going to refine it again. And that's all the great coaches. They're only going to give you what you can digest immediately, even though it's an ongoing thing. And you are going to find more than one over time. And that's what almost all of us need, because one is, then I'm just imitating Johnny. And I like Johnny, but I can't be him.
And this show, this Don and Johnny Ask Us Anything, is not in any way supposed to be a commercial for us and our services.
Right. There's a lot of good
I want
coaches.
to point that you don't have to work with Heller, you don't have to work with Don. You do what works for you, man.
Yeah.
We're telling you to go do something, though.
Right.
Take action.
Yep.
And before I want to say this, as we head to the end of this year, which is where we are, we will see in the next week, 2 weeks, people posting on social media, and we all pay attention to social media, all the wonderful things that they did.
Right.
And they have every right to say, oh, I won an award. I did this. I got this book. I got this gig. I did this. I'm booked until, 2082, whatever. No one else's successes or awards or trophies or notoriety is in any way an indication of you or where you are in your road. We should all enjoy each other, unless someone's a jerk off about it. Pretty much you should enjoy their successes, but someone else's successes should not highlight your lack thereof.
Right.
You may not have been up for the right book. I mean, here's a big deal. I just got hired to do the Blues Brothers book. It's a great book. It's going to be big. Well, I auditioned for it. People say, Johnny, do you audition? All the time. And of the 6 auditions I've done in the last 6 auditions, this is the only one I got. And I'm telling you this so you understand that while I'm happy I got the book, there's 5 I didn't get.
Right.
Somebody else got.
Yeah.
And you guys all need to understand that when Don writes, I got, Studio One Tech Guru of the Year award, it doesn't mean that James, who does Reaper, didn't get an award, sucks. Right. Or he should, or Johnny Heller got a SOVAS award for humor, which I did. Doesn't mean that you can't do a funny book. You can't. Yeah. Go ahead, Don.
Well, I just think it is a funny thing. First off, all I'm going to tell you about are the few things that went right this year. I'm not going to go tell you about all the things where my dog crapped on the carpet when he shouldn't have, or whatever else happened in life that wasn't so great. That's just not the way it goes. In social media, people tell you about their successes, and heck, we can be happy about them, but that doesn't take away from where we're going. And then the bigger factor is this: people don't see the little ducky, their feet paddling under the water. And so Heller's going and putting in a bunch of auditions. And if he's only getting 1 out of 6, a lot of us might have to do 1 out of 20. And we have to work. There's always a bunch of work behind the scenes that are going on that nobody sees. All they're going to see next year is they're going to go, he did the Blues Brothers book. Man, he's just so lucky. He was just lucky. He was, no. He was working it. This one worked. He didn't tell you about 4 or 5 others that he probably wanted, or he wouldn't have auditioned. But that's the way it goes in this business, that you will do a bunch of work behind the scenes that no one will know. And all these people that are highly successful are working their rear end off behind the scenes, not just when you see them winning the award. They've been
Yeah.
working at it, working at it, working at it, and probably you're going to have the same path at some point in your career. Johnny?
Yeah, I just don't, and I know that people can feel badly that you tally up your year and you don't have as much to show for it as you had hoped. Let me give you a suggestion. Here we are at the end. So think about all the things you've done, and career-wise, we're talking, not anything. Not I'm not helping your relationships or any crap like that. Career-wise, write down 2024 what you want. Write down 5 to 10, as many as you wish, realistic goals, not idiotic things, not like, you're going to win the Academy Award. No, just things that, I want. My goal I wrote down for a number of years, and I wrote it down year after year, is um, I wanted to work for Simon and Schuster. Well, this year I did. Well, I wrote it down every year, and but I think if you write it down, actually write something down, it's got a better shot at happening for you, because you put it on paper. It's right there. You can see it and make the goals. And if your goals are unrealistic, like if I write down I'm going to dunk a basketball when I play the Knicks, well, I can't. I'm not. That's a stupid goal. I'm never going to get that.
Yeah.
If I could write down I'm going to get tickets to the Knicks game and sit in the center court, maybe I can make that happen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
your goals have got to be realistic, but write them down and go for them. And then as you have your year, think about what you're doing to achieve these goals. Right? I mean,
And
what's Lisa doing?
that's going to
I got
require,
crap out the cutest baby. Good.
yeah, I just left that one alone. I didn't pull that up.
Yeah.
Uh, so
She comes from good stock, Lisa. That's why.
but half a good stock, and it's on the maternal side. So the one thing is, yeah, we're gonna watch all this. So applaud the people that are having some success, and know that they're also working really hard behind the scenes, and that if you do put in the work and you hang with the right people, a lot of good things happen when you combine being a good person, building the relationships. We talk to these publishers week in and week out, and one of the things that keeps coming back, they're people. They like certain people. They don't like certain people if they're being not so nice about certain things. And they're looking for great people to work with, because they end up working with them for a long time. Heller gets hired again and again and again. I know in the early days, part of the reason he kept getting rehired was just because he was a fun guy to be around. Today, his body of work and expertise is why he's rehired. And then they kind of also go, oh, and he's fun to be around. And both those combined are a winning combination. So we're all on this path together. Johnny, any final words before we close out 2023 for us?
I think not. I think if you have questions you didn't get to, go ahead and email us. We're going to try and do this every Tuesday. We're enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it. It's a two-way street. Make sure you do ask us things. I do think sometimes we forget to answer any questions, so we got to make sure we do that once in a while.
Yeah.
But no, here's something I will say. Don Baarns is a blessing. It's a blessing to me, and it's a blessing to you guys. He's a wonderful human being, and I don't know if he hears it enough. He is a real mensch, and I can't thank you enough for all you do, Don. And so I want to make sure that's clear.
I
You're a
appreciate
wonderful
it.
man, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. It goes both ways. The greatest thing that I have in this business is that I'm privileged to work with some of the best people in the business. And that doesn't mean that they're the people that have been around a while. The new people that come into this business, I can't believe the great quality people I'm able to interact with on a daily basis. And I know you're the same way. And we're very proud of the fact that this has gotten started. We're super happy you're here. And of course, be sending us questions, but then be sure to throw them in the chat, because sometimes people email me things, I just get too much, and then I don't remember, and we'd love to answer them for you. This will be going on every single week. Next week we have Deere. What's his first name?
Tom Deere? Tom
Tom
Deere's
Deere.
next week?
Yes,
Excellent.
yes, Tom Deere.
He's
And
in
Tom,
Atlantic City right now. That's where he is.
and cool guy who has some unbelievably good ideas in terms of helping your business side of this.
Yeah. Get
So
your business questions ready.
yeah, business questions and social media. Him and I do a bunch, we're both social media nutcases. But you definitely want to check that out, because You need the acting. That's primary. That's everything. You can't get any place without doing that kind of thing. But you also need to combine it with the business and the social skills. And if you can combine all those three, you can win at anything you want in life, including audiobooks and narration. So, Happy New Year. We'll see you next week. See you on Tuesday. Same bat station, same bat time. Talk to you. See ya.
Bat channel. Bye bye.
Bye bye.